y'all, I'm back with another informative fibroid video. If you are new here, welcome. I'm Joya and this is Fibroids and Friends, a little place on the internet that I've created for me and my fibroid fighting sisters and the friends who love and support us. If you are returning, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you in service one more time. You know that around here, we get to nitty-gritty city very quickly. So let's jump into today's video. Today, we are going to be discussing intermittent fasting with fibroids, things that I think you should know. Now, if you know my story, you know that I had a huge fibroid, 24 centimeters, almost 7 pounds, and it grew extremely quickly. It grew from 11 centimeters to 24 in less than 2 years. So research tells us that fibroids will grow on average between 1 and 2 centimeters a year, and mine had exploded from 11 to 24 in less than 2. So while my story may not be ordinary, it's still a growth story that I think can help someone else. And I personally feel like intermittent fasting played a role in my fibroid growing so quickly. Now I know this may ruffle a few of your little feathers. It may, at a minimum, disagree with some of the things that doctors have told you or friends or even research that you've done on your own. But I just ask you to, one, hear me out, and two, after watching this video, just really think about, have you done full, extensive research on fasting with fibroids? Have you really dug in and gotten into the nitty-gritty of it before agreeing to start a intermittent fasting program? Or if you're thinking about starting a program, I just want to challenge you to really research before you jump in. All right? All right. So let's start off with just a little background in case somebody's been under a rock. What is intermittent fasting? Basically, it is the practice of regularly switching between eating and not eating. Most diets will tell you what you should eat and what you should avoid. Intermittent fasting, don't care nothing about that. They just want you to focus on when you eat and when you're not eating. There are several ways to intermittent fast, but there are 3 that I've personally tried and I enjoyed them during the time that I tried them. The first one was the one I did most often, the 16-8 method. I think it's called the time restricted method. Basically, I ate 8 hours of the day, for me, usually 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I fasted from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. the next day. So basically, there was a period of time where I ate and a period of time where I avoided food. During that time, I may have drank water, drank 0-calorie tea, or if I just was starving and just needed a little something to tide me over, then I might have chewed a piece of sugar-free gum. But other than that, I avoided food during my 16-hour fast, and I ate my calories during the 8-hour fast. The 8-hour time period of eating. So the next way that I tried was the alternate day fasting method. The name tells you what it is. You alternate days. You eat today, you fast tomorrow, repeat. The final way that I tried was the 5-2 method. So 5-2, similar to alternate day, you choose 5 days a week where you eat and 2 days where you fast. Now, I've seen this happen a couple of ways. One, where people just fast altogether in those 2 days. I'm not going to eat, I'm going to avoid food. And 2, where people decrease their calories on those 2 days. So maybe you say, well, I'll just eat 500 calories on Mondays and Thursdays, or I will eat 25% of my caloric intake on those 2 days, and then I'll eat regularly on the other 5. So any way that you choose, whether it's regular fasting or intermittent fasting, fasting has great benefits. This is not a fasting bashing video. Say that fast. Anyway, this video, I enjoy the benefits of fasting. This video is not here to tell you not to fast if you have fibroids. It is here to tell you to do your research and to learn the best way to fast if you have fibroids. So some of the benefits of fasting include improved mental skills, improves your focus, improves your thinking and your memory. It can also improve your psychological functions, your insulin sensitivity, Your girl got a lot of tongue twisters going on today. And the biggest reason most of us do it is for fat loss. It promotes fat loss. And we all know about the biblical origins of fasting. So fasting can be great. I just implore you to do your research and to find an effective fasting strategy for someone with fibroids. All right, so let's kind of get into just a wee bit of science here. I am not a scientist, I am not a doctor, but I do research, and I research a lot, especially when it comes to my body and my fibroids. So we as women have to be extremely careful and extremely cognizant of fasting during our cycles. We know that intermittent fasting can have an effect on our hormones, and we know that during that time of the month, our hormones already be up, down, and round. So you got to be extremely careful about fasting during that time of the month. Now, for most of us, for most women, especially those with fibroids, fasting comes down to frequency and duration. How often are you doing it? How long are you doing it? And the when. When are you doing it? If you are going to take on an intermittent fasting method, I suggest that you take a break around your menstrual cycle time. And I'm going to tell you why. So first, let's kind of get into the hormone talk, right? What hormones are we talking about? We're talking about estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen, we all know what that is. It's the she hormone, right? So in this context, a healthy estrogen level is very essential for a healthy metabolism, all right? Healthy estrogen levels, essential for a healthy metabolism. Progesterone. Now, progesterone affects the way that women metabolize the three main macronutrients: the carbs, the fats, the proteins. Progesterone can also play a role in your blood glucose level and in influencing your insulin sensitivity. So many studies will tell you that fasting has nothing to do with your fibroids and it won't affect your estrogen or progesterone at all. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But there are stories and there are articles and a lot of research that will go back to back with that and say that the lie detector determined that is a lie. So I don't know what side is true, but what I do know is if something is telling me something won't affect something and something else is telling me that it will, I personally gear toward the will. If it's telling me it will negatively affect me, or even that it may negatively affect me, I'd rather do without than, take a leap if I don't have to. But anyway, that's just another reason to say to do your own research, to really read these articles. Don't take something that somebody wrote in 2002 and apply it to your life in 2023. We learn more, research grows, new research comes out. As we learn, we do better, right? So make sure when you're looking at all these articles, you're doing your general Google search, that you're reading something that's current and something that you understand. If they're using all these medical terms that you don't get, girl, pull out your Britannica or go to a different tab on your Google sheet and figure out what they're saying. Don't just skim until you get to those 3 lines you understand and be like, yes, this is going to work for me. I'm going to do it. So dig deep into your research. Now, I'm going to talk about why I decided to stop intermittent fasting. First and foremost, it was not great for my mental health, okay? So when I first started fasting, I had just moved from Washington, D.C. to Washington State. So in D.C., I had my party life. I had my best friends, and, it was every weekend. We're out. We're about. Random Tuesday, we got work in the morning. No problem. We'll make it. So we were out drinking, so eating, just doing things that I would not have been able to do after 7 p.m. had I been on an IF track, right? So when I got to Washington State, I did not have my best friends. I didn't really have any friends when I first got there. So it was easy for me to set up a food schedule that stopped at 7 o'clock. Baby, I would eat my last meal and then be done at 6:59, drink me some tea and go to bed. I mean, I might have watched a little TV, but I basically would go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. So eventually I started getting a village in Washington State, and I got friends, and I met a man who eventually became my husband. So I had things going on. I started doing happy hour in Washington State. I started going out on the weekends, and I didn't want to be the weirdo in the corner saying, well, it's 7:02, nothing for me, no apps, no drinks for me, because I'm outside of my eating window. So when I was all in, I was all in. So I wasn't making exceptions. And after a while, it really started getting on my mental, because I just felt like I couldn't have a good time with my friends unless they were able to go between 11 and 7. I just felt either left out or like I wasn't happy when I was in those circles. So that's one thing. The other thing was I knew something was off in my body. And as I started doing research, I realized that when your estrogen levels are too high, that's prime real estate for fibroid development and fibroid growth. And then on top of that, when you don't have sufficient progesterone, your body has a hard time fighting that growth. So if your estrogen is too high, your progesterone is too low or not high enough, baby, we got a prime real estate for fibroid development and fibroid growth. And I think this is what played a role in why mine grew so quickly. One way your progesterone can get out of whack and get out of balance is by fasting during the wrong time of the month. Y'all, I didn't take no breaks. I was on the 16-8 every day, probably for a year, if not longer than that. So you're talking straight through my period for over a year. So while I was following the directions for intermittent fasting, I was not fasting in a way that was beneficial for me and for my health condition. So that is the key takeaway I want you to take from this video, that fasting can be beneficial for you as a fibroid fighter, but you have to basically set up an effective strategic plan on how it can benefit you. If you want to go on Google, you don't want to type in, should I fast? Because you're going to get a whole bunch of hell yes articles, because fasting can be very beneficial. What you need to Google is, can I fill in the blank? Can I, an African-American woman with fibroids, fast successfully? Can I, a Caucasian woman who is in a menopausal state, fast successfully? Can I, who is a 60-year-old who had a myomectomy and is diabetic, fast successfully? You really need to be specific when you research these things. Be specific for your body type, for your ethnicity, for your ailments, for your health condition. Really zone in, because you can't take that first thing pops up on Google for goal and apply it to your life and think you're going to get great results. Because while you may be thinking you're fixing one issue, baby, you could be creating a whole nother health issue. So I really want this video to challenge you to research specifically for you. Again, this is not me telling you that if you have fibroids, you should not fast. I'm telling you that it did not work for me, for my lifestyle, and I think that the way that I did it promoted fibroid growth. So if you can do it in a way that is conducive for your lifestyle, conducive for your body type and your health condition, please, by all means, go for it. I think it is a great way to build confidence. I think it's a great way to build discipline. But I think you need to make sure you're doing it the right way for you. So a couple of key takeaways here today. One, don't fast because somebody on YouTube or Instagram told you to, even if it's me. Do your own research. Make sure you're researching specifically for your body type. Understand how fasting affects you, your body. Talk to your doctor about any other ailments you may have going on, because you might have more than just fibroids. You might have PCOS, or you might have had a myomectomy or hysterectomy, whatever that you may have going on. You need to make sure you talk to your doctor and find out if fasting is the answer for you. And the last thing I want to say is, y'all, you ain't got to be all in all the time for something to work for you. Let's be honest. I could have had that little drinky drink at 7:02 p.m. It would have been all right if I ate the bacon at 10:58 a.m. You don't have to be that strict. Life is too short and there's too much going on for you to be unhappy because you broke your little schedule ahead of time. Y'all, be easy, be good, be happy. I'll talk to y'all later. That's it. That's all. Bye.